I'm going to discuss again, unfortunately, and I wish we could stop having this discussion, but it is further around Pauline Hanson and issues around immigration. So I've got two clips I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you one where Pauline does an interview with Channel 7's The Issue program, and just brief, and that is on visas and the way she views visas. Now, the important thing for me, and I hope for you, is what is the real truth around some of these issues that we discuss. There's the issue around ISIS brides at the moment, and I do suggest that you watch Tony Burke's interview with David Spears on Insiders today, where he explains the government's position quite clearly on all of that. And I do accept the notion that some legislation may need to be changed if we want to prohibit these people from returning to Australia. However, currently, the government's acting according to the law as it stands right now, which applies directly to those women and their children. And part of the issue, of course, is that Syria are planning to do away with the camps in northern Syria. So they have to find a place to live, and Australia, because they're Australian citizens, they're entitled to return here. Now, that's one story, and I guess there's lots of controversy over that. Stupid decision these young women made. However they made it, they may have to suffer the consequences and so on. So I understand all that. I'm not here to debate that with anybody today. But what I am interested in is Hanson's version of immigration and whether or not her version is correct or totally erroneous. So I'm going to play this first video for you. I hope you bear with it. It's not very long. Just of Hanson talking about visas, who should get visas, her attitude towards that, and her old immigration policy is dependent upon this version she has of people being allowed into this country and overstaying their visas. So I'm going to play this clip for you, and then I'm going to present you with some information which is factual about actually what the visa situation is and those people that overstay visas. So we'll have a look at that as well. And then I'm going to play for you, just for your edification, a conversation she has in relation to burkas and how she views them as being so un-Australian. So I'll play this video for you, and then we will talk about it when it finishes.
So how would a Hanson-led government deal with the 100,000 people in our country who either have failed to get refugee status or have overstayed their visas and no longer have a legal entitlement to be here?
You actually then, you go and seek them out and you deport them out of the country, and it sends a clear message. But a lot of these people coming from places that possibly, I'd say, you shouldn't be getting a visa in the first place. Why get them to fill out a visa?
Can I just say, just remember that bit. A lot of these people come from places who shouldn't be getting visas in the first place.
Visa in the first place if you're not going to follow it up. So I blame the government for this. And those people that are in the country, Tim, we've got about 2,700,000 people in the country that are on visas. We've got 4.8 million people that are not Australian citizens here. So when you've got a housing crisis and you've got this happening in Australia, well, something has to give.
So I think the issue here is that Pauline would basically prefer to do away with all visas. She doesn't want anybody coming into this country, full stop. Now, what we don't need to do is just to have a look at some of those facts, because it says the facts are that from Australian government detention, that's community stats, around 2025, I think, people who end up in immigration process, which includes some overseas stayers, those people that stay beyond what their visa allows them to, really comes from a range of countries. Now, interestingly enough, the higher percentage of those people are New Zealanders, 17%. So according to Hanson's logic, we should ensure that New Zealanders don't enter this country. Is New Zealand one of those countries from which, Muslims and other people come? No. But nevertheless, the reality is that 17% are New Zealanders that overstay visas. So there's 6 to 7% come from Iran and 5% come from India. So I don't see any countries there like Afghanistan, Pakistan, Syria, Gaza necessarily being mentioned in those particular statistics. Most people in Australia unlawfully are visa overstayers. They're not boat arrivers. They're not people coming here through some sort of inappropriate method. They are simply people that overstay their visas. So the total number around people that normally overstay their visas is somewhere between 70 and 75,000 people. Now, according to Hanson, these are the people that should be kicked out of our country, the people that should not be here. So all those people from New Zealand should not be here. And most of these people come here on tourist visas and student visas. So the illegal immigration debate is mostly about people who arrive through airports, and those people that arrive through airports have paperwork. They're not people dramatically crossing an ocean in order to get there. Older detailed databases also show large numbers from the UK, some from China, and a large number from the United States. So these were also among the biggest groups simply because they had higher visitor numbers to begin with. Not exactly the scary narrative you hear Pauline Hanson talking about. So overstaying is less about nationality and more about volume of visitors from a country. The visa type, that's students and tourist visas, are higher risk, and economic incentives such as work, study, and staying with family. In other words, this conversation that she wants us to have and is forcing us to have means that we need to start to look at the realities. The realities are not the way that they're being presented by Hanson or anybody else on the right, for that matter, who starts talking about immigration in an extremely negative way. Now, there are issues, I agree, in relation to housing, and it's only 4%, it's no big deal, but they try and make it bigger than what it actually is. So do we need to cut down on immigration? Probably. Do we need to sort of tailor it a little bit better and neater than it is? Maybe, even though I know that skilled workers coming to Australia are a priority for obvious reasons. So, but then she breaks into this Burka thing. So there is something distinctly racist about all of this, and I'll play you this clip as well.
It's not compatible with the Australian way of life, and that's why I said to ban the burqa in Australia and full face coverings.
Doesn't that ultimately amount to blocking all Muslim people from coming to Australia? Pretty much.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You see, I had a Muslim candidate that stood for me in New South Wales state elections. So although she said she was a Muslim, she never acted or dressed like a Muslim. So this is the problem. If you actually look at in the streets of England, it's full of women.
Just note that bit that because this worker worked for her didn't wear the burqa, clearly she was not entirely, somehow she was not a Muslim, or she wasn't behaving in the way that Pauline Hanson would expect a Muslim to behave. This is just so racist, it's almost incomprehensible.
And with burqas, that becomes a state, and especially full face coverings. That means they could be unemployable. You're not going to get jobs. People are in fear. And I just don't think it's warranted in a country like Australia.
So people who wear a burqa are not capable of getting a job, even though I guess someone who's wearing a burqa could be well educated, could be at university, could be contributing greatly to society, obviously, without saying. But somehow they're also creating fear. Wearing a burqa creates fear. I think that sometimes, some of these dudes wearing tattoos and having their head shaven, oh my God, are probably more can tend to feel a bit more fearful of than someone wearing a burqa. It's just crazy shit. And that's the sort of crap that Pauline talks about all the time. Absolute garbage. Let me know what you think about Pauline on this particular issue, because I think she's so misinformed. It's almost painful to watch. The problem that we have is that her degree of misinformation is accepted by the majority, or not majority, I shouldn't say that. They're accepted by a large portion of society. And I think that is sad. Remember to subscribe to my channel, ring the bell for further notification. It doesn't cost you anything. Like my videos, it certainly helps the algorithm. Thanks everybody for being here. Look after yourselves and take care.